Hello everyone, this is Laura with Busy Bee Farms, and today we are going to make dill pickles. The recipe that I use I found in a magazine that I got back in 2012, and we didn't grow too much in the garden, your typical cucumbers and tomatoes and things like that. And so we got the cucumbers and harvested those, and I had to find a pickle recipe. And so I got this canning magazine, and in it was a pickle recipe, and it has become our favorite dill pickle recipe. The magazine was Taste of Home Canning and Preserving. Like I said, this is from 2012, so I can definitely share the recipe with you if you guys are interested. I can put that in the description. But inside, there's lots of recipes. I haven't really used anything else other than the dill pickle recipe. And the dill pickle recipe is an old-fashioned garlic dill pickle. It's very simple to make, very easy, and like I said, it is one of our favorite dill pickle recipes. So I am going to show you how to make those today. To get started, you want to make sure that you have all of your ingredients. It's going to call for vinegar, crushed red pepper, garlic, dill, and canning pickling salt. You also need your jars. We are doing quart jars, and we will water bath can these. So 7 quarts is what my canner will hold. And then you want to make sure that your jars are clean. Hot soap water, dishwasher, whatever, just so that they're very clean, and your lids and your rings as well. And then we'll need our cucumbers. And in this recipe, it calls for about, I think it says 4 pounds of cucumbers. I always just kind of eyeball it to what we use. These are in spears. David really likes those, but I also make slices to put on our hamburgers and things like that. So that's kind of an overview of everything that you will need to get started. So we will get in the process of making these pickles. Okay, everybody, so now we're ready to fill our jars. And so we're going to take a quart jar, and what it calls for is to put 5 garlic clove halves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of those, and then 5 dill. And I usually just kind of pick off little pieces like this, and it calls for about 5 of those. So I put 5 of those in there. And then you will just start packing in your cucumbers. And so some of these are little, some of these will be tall and big, but I just start putting them in there. And just pack my jars. Now you do want to make sure that you're leaving at least a 1/2 inch headspace at the top. Typically a good rule is like this is 1 inch, so kind of right there is a good 1/2 inch headspace. I usually don't have any trouble with that as far as with my pickles. I don't have them that long. And so you pack your pickles in here, and like I said, I've got some smaller ones, so I'm just going to kind of double up on those and fill them all the way around. So there is one jar ready to go. And so we'll take the next jar and we will put our 5 garlic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have already portioned out 5 of these little garlic, not garlic, but dill. And then we will place our, and I like to hold my jar a little bit to the side, especially if I have some of the longer cucumbers. I hold it to the side and kind of stack it in that way. It tends to be a little easier to stack them. In. Now, my helpers have gone to school. Typically, I have Matthew and Olivia in here, and they love to help me cut up these cucumbers, especially Olivia. Olivia loves pickles. So when it's time to cut up cucumbers, she doesn't hesitate to come in and help me because she knows that means she gets more pickles. So she will cut those up. But they've gone back to school this week, and so it is just me today doing all of the pickles. And like some of these smaller ones, I just kind of put to the side right there just so that I can still fill my jars full with what I have. That may not always be perfect and straight like that. So almost got this jar filled. Maybe if I had one smaller one to put at the top. I don't see one right now. Okay, so there's jar number 2. I'm going to keep processing all 7 quarts, and then when we come back, we'll start the liquid that we will pour into these jars. All right, everybody, so now it's time to mix our liquid to pour over our jars of cucumbers. And so I have my pan, my pot out here. I've already, so let me back up for just a minute. When I was explaining the recipe in the magazine actually only makes 3 quarts. So I actually double what I'm going to put in this pot, and you'll need double the pounds for your cucumbers as well to be able to make your 6 to 7 jars to fit into your water bath canner. So I just wanted to go back and mention that. I had not paid attention to that. I've been making this recipe for so long that a lot of times I just do it from memory and I don't even pay attention. So, but now that I'm trying to explain it to you, I need to be a little more detailed. So I've already added 6 cups of water here because I don't, my jar here, my measuring pitcher does not go to 12. So I've already added 6 cups of water. I'm going to add 6 more. So a total of 12 cups of water. And then you will want to do, let's see, the recipe calls for 4.5 cups of white vinegar. So we will need 9 cups. And I'm just going to do 4.5. I hope it all fits in my pot here. And then 4.5 more cups of white vinegar. Just at the top. And then we are going to add canning salt, and the original recipe calls for 6 tablespoons, but since we're doubling it, we will do more than that. We'll do 12. 1, 2, 3, 12, So we have 12 tablespoons of canning salt. And then the last ingredient is the crushed red pepper flakes. And it is 3/4 of a teaspoon. And I just use my teaspoon measure and just eyeball that. But since we know we're doubling it, we're going to do 1.5. And then we will mix all of that up together and stick this on our stove. And we want to bring this to a boil. And then once it gets really good and hot, then we will ladle it over our jars. One thing I forgot to mention too is sometimes in my pickles, I will take a cayenne, just one of the cayenne peppers, and also stick in there. It adds a little extra heat. It also makes it look kind of pretty. So that is something that I also will do. In this batch, I'm not doing that. I'm just making it our normal dill pickle recipe. So I'm going to get this over to the stove and we'll go from there. Okay, so we've got our pot on the stove and we are just going to stir that, kind of break up that salt just a little bit, and then we're going to turn our stove on. We want to bring our liquid to a boil, so that will take a few minutes to do that. Want to let it boil. A lot of things will call for 10 minutes. I just let it boil a good 5 minutes or so, and then I cut it back so that I can ladle it into my jars. Also, at this time, you want to make sure that you're getting your water bath canner ready. These are wonderful. You can use just a regular pot, but I invested in one of these. I need another one actually, as well as another canner would be wonderful, just so that I can can more than 7 at a time. But we got this at Rural King here in Tennessee, and it has been wonderful. But go ahead and fill it up with water, and go ahead and start turning it on low or kind of medium low heat so that the water can start warming up. Not hot, but just start warming up so that whenever you do get ready to pour the hot liquid into your jars, you're ready to just place your jars over here into your canner. It has this nice little basket so that you can set your jars on top here and then lower them down into the water. Usually when you're water bath canning, you want to make sure that your water is above your jars a good inch at least, and then you'll bring that to the boil, but we'll get to that here shortly. But that's what I do. I usually get my canner going at the same time as I'm getting my liquid going, and we're just going to stir that around. The boiling water helps kind of marry all those pepper flakes into the liquid and gets it good and hot for your jars so it's ready to go into the canner. Okay, so our liquid for the cucumbers has come to a boil. I let it boil for about 5 minutes. And now it is time to ladle the hot liquid into these jars. I got a kit that had this funnel with it and also one of these little tools. It serves two purposes. Right here it actually measures so that you're able just to kind of put this on the edge of your jar to measure your headspace. It measures all the way from 1/4 of an inch to 1 inch, and so you're able to make sure that you get the right headspace when you're filling your jars. The other end you can use to get your bubbles out of your jars. So I'm going to start filling these up using my funnel. And this recipe says for 1/2 inch of headspace. And the more that you do this, you can kind of eyeball it and you don't have to measure each and every time. But I'm going to measure there. I need to add just a little bit more liquid. Almost there. Yes, okay, so we are good. And then after you get your liquid in your jars, you want to wipe off the rim with just a clean towel. And then you will take your lid and your ring and put on there. And you just want to tighten it down to about fingertip tight. And then once you have that, that jar is ready to go into the canner. And I'm going to take it over here and place it in the canner. And then we will proceed with the other jars. Okay, so we're going to continue to fill up the rest of our jars. And then we will place each jar in the canner. And as I go, the red pepper flakes seem to just kind of settle a little bit at the bottom. So I just, when I'm getting my ladle, I stir the liquid as well so that I can get some of those pepper flakes in each. And I just realized I forgot to check for bubbles when I did my jar a minute ago. So headspace, we're right there at it. You'll take this other end and just stick it down in the side if you can and get, yep, see there's those bubbles. It won't go down in there, that's fine. You don't have to press it, push it. But you just want to make sure that you get those bubbles out as well. And then you wipe off the rim. Make sure that's clean. And then we'll put a lid on and a ring. And just fingertip tight. And then we will take this on over. Well, Matthew's home. He has started a class at the local college here in our town. And so he goes to school at the high school, but he also does a dual enrollment program at the college here. So there are days that he gets to leave school a little early because the college classes that he takes is in the afternoon after school for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So he's home now and he's going to help me. So he's going to take this one on over to the water bath canner, and then we will continue to fill up our jars. I was telling everybody, Matthew, that typically if y'all were here, y'all help me cut up the cucumbers and help me do all this stuff, and that y'all had to go back to school. So I was here all by myself. And Matthew has done these pickles with me so much that he could do it by himself as well, because he has watched me and has helped me. And there are times that I've just told him what to do and he's done them. On the days that I have my little kiddos here and can't always pay attention, I can tell him and he can help me get stuff canned and done. Olivia's working on getting that good, but she lacks the drive. She'll cut up my cucumbers, but other than that, that's about the extent for Olivia. And Matthew just helps me to be helping me because he doesn't even eat pickles. Oh, that needs a little bit taken out. Matthew, will you get me just like a little teaspoon or something so I can take out a little bit of that liquid? Yeah, it was just a little bit too much. Almost there. That's about right. So I'm going to finish up these last 3 jars that I have, and then I will show you how it is in the water canner and show you that process. Okay, so we have filled all the jars with liquid, and they are all now in my water bath canner. So we have all of them right here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to lower our basket down in and see if our water comes up above our jars. Matthew's going to help me because he has the muscles to do that.
Not quite.
And so we don't. So we are going to add more water to this canner because, like I said, you want to have water about 1 inch at least above your jars so that you can bring it to boiling. And I'm going to go ahead and turn up the heat so that it'll go ahead and start getting hot. Matthew's going to add the water for me. There you go. It's always good to have help. Add just a little bit more, Matthew.
I don't think that one's flat. It is warm.
It is warm water, yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine the way it's laying. We just need to add more water.
Now they're covered.
Add just a little bit more because they're only probably 1/4 to 1/2 inch covered. And there's a cucumber seed. That must have been stuck to one of the jars from the table. All right, Matthew, that's probably good. So now we have that. We're going to add the lid to our canner, and we're going to wait for it to come to a boil. And so once it comes to a boil, you'll want to keep it boiling for about 15 minutes. And then after that, you can turn your heat down, but let them sit there for an additional 5 minutes. And then you can take them out of the canner. So we're going to let them start warming up, and then we will show you the next process. All right, guys, so now you can see that it is boiling. It is definitely bubbling and boiling. So I am going to start our timer for 15 minutes. I'm going to put the lid back on top of my canner, and I am going to let that process for the 15 minutes. And when the timer goes off, then I will turn the heat off and let it just sit with the lid off for 5 more minutes, and then we'll be able to take our jars out. So we're going to wait our 15 minutes, and we'll be back in a moment. All right, everybody, so the timer has gone off. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to turn the heat off. and then I'm going to take the lid off. And like I said, we are going to let that sit there for another 5 minutes. So I'm going to hit timer for 5 minutes. And once that timer goes off, then we will be able to take our jars out of the canner, and then we will place them. I usually lay down a towel on my counter or kitchen table, whatever workspace you have to use. And there's a neat little tool that comes with that kit that I told you about, with the funnel and the measuring for the headspace and the bubble tool. And here's the little grabber for it. You actually use this end. Some people have tried to use this end of it, but it's this end. So when the timer goes off, we can use this to lift our jars out and place them on the towel. Okay, our timer is going off. We're going to turn that off, and now we can take our jars out. Just use your little grabber there and lift it straight up. It doesn't matter about the water on the top. That's perfectly fine. And then I just take them over here and sit them down on a towel because they are very, very hot. Alright, so we have all of them out of the canner, and we are going to let them sit here until they completely cool down. And as you can see here, there's like a little bubble out on the lid. When it seals, you'll hear a pop, but it also will sink down. And so you will be able to tell and to hear that they have sealed completely. So leave them here till they completely cool down, and that you know that they have sealed. If they don't seal, then you can put them in the refrigerator, and then you just have to eat those first and eat those right away. Everything else you can put on your shelf and use when you're ready to eat them. So that's it. That is our recipe for our most favorite pickle here at the Nickens household. And so I hope that you will try this. I will put the recipe in the description down below so that you can try these at home. If you have any comments or questions, please drop those our way as well. And thank you for stopping by today. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys very much. Take care. God bless.